placed on Jesus' back in your booklet. You see on the top of the page addressing this station, Matthew 27:22, which says, Pilate said to them, "Then what shall I do with Jesus who is called the Christ?" They all said, "Let him be crucified." We know historically and scripturally that crucifixion was a horrendous form of punishment. We know the goal of the Roman Empire, one of the reasons why they were so powerful, is that they would seek to not only physically torment those who would come against them, they would also seek to emotionally and mentally torment them through the humiliation that would be their methods of execution. Jesus, in his humanity, was well aware of what was waiting him as the cross was placed on his shoulders after already being beaten to the brink of death. You know, historical stories like the Romans taking those who were crucified and lighting their bodies on fire to light the Roman road in the evenings as a sign of striking fear in those who would attempt to break their laws. And here Jesus, after being beaten, is receiving the cross to start this journey that would be the way of suffering, the Calvary Road. You have Psalm 22 printed in your notes. I'd encourage you to look over that briefly. There's this amazing reality at this point in this way of suffering, this Calvary Road, where Jesus has been beaten by the Romans. He's been mocked. They placed the crown of thorns upon his head, and they mock him as a king. And now they've forced this instrument of death upon his back. What's interesting is these men represented the most powerful men in the known world at this time in history. They were guards of the Roman Empire. There was no one who could touch them. And in their minds, they felt they had complete control of the situation. As they had beaten him and mocked him and now put the cross on his back, they felt they were in complete control. What they didn't realize is they claimed to have a power they really didn't possess. Colossians chapter 1, verse 15, the Apostle Paul goes to tell us basically that it was in Jesus that all things were created, it was by Jesus that all things were created, and it was for Jesus all things were created. And these men who were claiming to have a power they didn't possess, they were actually created by him and for him and through him. The cross, the very cross they would put on his back, was created by Jesus out of his redemptive plan to bring us back to the Father. It was created by him, for him, and through him. What's even more amazing is these men that would place this cross on his shoulders failed to realize what Paul goes on to tell us in Colossians, that Jesus literally holds all things together. And so these men, their very skeletal system, their muscular system, their nervous system, every strand of their DNA, they weren't holding it together. If it was left up to us to concentrate our hardest and hold our bodies together, we might last a second before everything came undone. And as they claimed this control, this Jewish carpenter who was the Messiah, what they failed to realize is he was actually holding their very DNA structures together by his power. He was allowing what was taking place. And what Jesus teaches us in this great sacrifice, we see in Luke chapter 9:23, he gives this call to discipleship, this call to true leadership, where he says, if anyone wants to come after me, if anyone wants to be one of mine, he must first deny himself, take up his cross, and then come after me. You know, if Jesus wrote a leadership book, it probably wouldn't be in the best-selling in Barnes & Noble. Yeah. That's backwards from today's leadership. The sad fact is that's backwards from today's Christian leadership model. But Jesus took this cross and he changed the mold. He created everything himself. He created everything for himself. He created everything through himself. He's holding everything together. And when the cross was placed on his back, he taught us the model. As we continue this morning through this time, I'd encourage you to take just a few moments to pray. And two things. Ask God to reveal to you the areas that you think you have a power you don't possess. And then secondly, to have the conviction to follow his leadership model of self-denial, of denying supposed rights we feel we have, and to take the cross and the suffering that it represents and the shame that it represents, and to take that to our communities. Take a few moments and pray that the Father would reveal these things to you.